I'm Vern Sessler. I live here in Waterloo, have all my life. When I was a small kid, where I lived on Virginia Street, I would see these trucks come by like this, and there would be no body on them. All it would be is the front end of the truck, the windshield, and the driver would be sitting on almost an orange crate. And I later found out that they brought them up from Tarrytown, New York, built the bodies like this here on them, and then shipped them all over the country from Waterloo here. The Midstate Campbell Company built about 10,000 plus of these wooden bodies through the years from the 1930s up through the early 1950s. Because of my interest in history here in the village, I took and started searching for a Midstate body like this one, and I found this out in Anaheim, California. And I brought it back, and with the help of some of these guys that you're going to talk to here, they're going to be talking in a few minutes, we rebuilt the body onto it and everything. Now these men that you're going to be talking to here built this truck originally back in 1942. So I'm going to let them give their stories of what it was like to work and be at the Midstate Body Company through the years that they produced so many of these fine products.
My name is Sam Altemari. I'm originally from Waterloo, and I worked at Midstate at 1941 to 43, and my job was to put these tops on. I also made the seats, and on these fenders or these running boards, usually there's a space on them, and they used to put metal guards on there so the water wouldn't come into the fender. I also used to put that in there. And also when you weren't doing anything, we had to put the floor mats down. They made sure you had a job all the time you were there. And they paid us 50 cents an hour. Well, I think it was 40 cents, then they gave us a raise up to 50 cents.
My name is John Stahl. I went to work at the Body Works in 1942. I was in my junior year of high school, and I had to have the money for my graduation clothes. When I went to work at Midstate, I worked on a line where the body was slightly sanded. Then after we sanded the body, we had to mask the metal parts or any parts that could not be varnished. This was before it went into the spray booth. When I first went there and they first started, what they did, each time you had to put a new layer of paper on. The man that I worked with decided that was extra work. So what he did, and the both of us worked together on this, we made paper, a framework of paper, which we put over the hood. And then after we had it made, it was taken into the paint shop. There it was sprayed with varnish and made stiffen. Then after we did that, whenever we had to turn around and do the next body, then we just picked it up, put it on, and fastened it. After a while, you got to be pretty good with a piece of masking tape when you stop and think of the metal parts that you had to mask so the varnish wouldn't get onto it. One of my other duties that I got assigned with every once in a while was to go out in final assembly. Out in final assembly is where we put in the seats, did any touch-up that had to be done. There were screws that were put in that had the heads had to be painted the color of whatever metal they were in. And then I left there well, it was in August. And at the time, I was making $24 a week clear.
Hi, my name's Rollie Velte. I was born and lived all my life in Waterloo. In fact, I lived right down the street, several houses from Midstate Body Works. I went in the service, and when I come out in '46, I went back to Midstate to go to work. I worked on prepping the bodies before they went into the spray room, which entailed filling the mahogany panels with filler, then sanding them down for a finish. Then we tack ragged the station wagon when it rolled up to us. We masked it and pushed it into the spray room where it would be sprayed. The next day we would unmask them, bring the papers back out, and start all over again. We did thousands of panels. The panels were pre-cut that you see on the station wagon here, and all we did was sand them, fill them, sand them. Then we done the wagons, and that was it. And I worked there for a little over 2 years, and business started going downhill. And there was an elderly couple, the Fras, that worked there with me, and somebody had to get laid off, and they needed a job more than I did, so I volunteered to take the layoff, and that was the end of my story at Midstate.